What's going on, y'all? This is me, representing Pilgrims in the Earth. But today we're featured on my wife's channel.
Feminine, nurturing, and virtuous journey.
Of course. So check this out, man. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button because we about to get into something deep today. Um, very top timing topic. We wanted to get into three stages of healing because what I see it common in our communities or in the world in general. You see a lot of physical health problems, mental health or emotional health, I like to say. And basically, we have the last one, which a lot of people don't consider, is spiritual health. People don't even think that's even a thing, but it's a real thing. So first, let's get into physical health, right? So I'm noticing, of course, we always talk about the the shots and all, the whole pandemic and all that, but that's very relevant because you see a lot of chronic diseases popping up. You see a lot of people diagnosed with cancer nowadays. So disease is very rampant, or physical health problems is very rampant, specifically in our communities, the Black communities. So that's something that we had to discuss. And one thing I wanted to say is talking about physical health. A lot of us trust in what we call the medical system. Our doctors, we more so don't want to put the right things in our body, but we like to, get health insurance to kind of go see the doctor every 3 to 6 months and they do the work for us. But your physical health is your responsibility. But you got anything to say on that?
And that's good that you focusing on, the healing parts when it comes to emotional, spiritual, and physical. All of those categories, it starts with your mental, actually. So you got to be mentally prepared to check or heal emotionally, spiritually, and physically.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it, like the spiritual, it all manifests from the physical. If to be honest with you, what you do, what you put in your body, the energy that you allow around you, that's gonna affect your health, your physical health. For number one, right? Our faith is tied into the medical system. A lot of our elders, they trust these doctors, and that's our biggest downfall that I see, right? Like, let's say I've seen so many people being diagnosed with what they call cancer. Let's say, what's the more common cancers? Cervical cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, many of the older men, lung cancers. But yeah, that's one of the more common. All right, y'all. If y'all hear some noise, we are a family of six, so I apologize. We're gonna do our best to, try to get this message out here so y'all can hear us clearly. But anyway, like I said, I see a lot of people dealing with cancer, or major health issues or whatever. So let me give an example, right? What I notice, what people go through, right? They're putting their faith or their whole belief system or trust system into these doctors. So the doctor can control, your physical health. I'm going to tell you how. I don't know if people know or not, but your belief is tied in with your health. I'm going to tell you why I believe that, because once somebody take away your will to fight, you're pretty much giving up on life. And a lot of times, when we're fighting cancer, they got this whole campaign, F cancer, fighting cancer. They'll have you do these chemo treatments, right? They say, oh, I'm in treatment. So this is how it works, right? Hey, hey, miss, I just everything, it looks good, but I see something small, nothing to be concerned about or alarmed about. But I just want to let you know there could be some signs of, first stage cancer. So you like, well, wow, you're putting all your energy into this. It's like, dang, that once you hear that word cancer, it's like, yeah, it's like a what?
Death sentence.
Like a death sentence. Not only do you think it's a death sentence, the person that's telling you, you're putting your whole spirit into believing everything as if this person is the most high. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, you hear that, and then they'll tell you, because you got to think, not only is the medical system connected with the financial system, because you got a lot of these people who have good insurance, you know what I'm saying? And you have, organs that are big businesses, your heart costs money, your lungs cost money, all these things cost money. So all that's tied into one. So you have to consider these things. And I'm not going too far off. I'm just, giving people a perspective of what I'm saying here. I'm getting a little deeper. But anyway, so the doctor tell you this, right? So yeah, you have a first stage cancer, but what we can do is, maybe we can give you some pills to kind of see what, how your body reacts to it. So you take these pills and they say, oh yeah, it looks like it did its job, but then a couple months later, oh, it's back. I have some bad news. It's back. And it looks like it's progressing. It looks like it's spread into your colon. They'll say something like that. Or it spread it, it might have started as a knot in your chest, but now on the mammogram, it's looking like it's starting to form into like a tumor or whatever. So now we have to take the procedure of cutting it off, right? Cutting it out, surgically removing it, right? So then you go through the whole emotions. It's usually women. You go through the whole emotions of defeating this cancer, right? So now they cut it out. Oh, it looks like your body is healing very well. You defeated it, but guess what? They're always going to bring it right back. They bring it back 2, 3, 4 months later. Okay, now, sorry to tell you, it is repeating. It's coming back rapidly and it's growing. So now at this point, your spirit is like, oh my God, people give up on life. You know what I'm saying? They give up on life. And at that point, the doctor have them exactly where they want them. These doctors don't have your best interests. So you have to watch out for what you're putting in your body. You have to put natural herbs in your body, natural fruits, not what you go buy in the stores all the time. Sometimes you need to go see, you need to go directly to the source. The sun, if those plants are not sitting out in the sun and receiving those minerals or nutrients from the sun, and you're constantly buying, we have to get back to buying from the actual source. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because even though, yes, of course, they put it in our faces so much. Like, it was the TV show Shot, and it was showing how the sister had cancer, and she, of course, beat the cancer, whatever. So now, in this season, it shows like she pretty much gave up. She tired of fighting, and she's just gonna let her body do what it do. So basically, she's dying at this point. So they will give you all the hope until you're ready to give up. By that time, they done already took all your money from insurance and things like that. And it's basically your organs, whatever you have left, is going to be harvested to the next candidate.
Yeah, the next bidder, highest bidder. So yeah, it's crazy. Like, how can you? Like, I seen like this, right? So when you get on a plane, right? This is just a quick example. You get on a plane, you trust the pilot, right? You don't know this person, but you trust them to get you to your destination. When you get on the bus, you trust the driver to get you safely to your destination, whatever. We put trust in the wrong thing, but we don't trust the very source that's been sent here as a guide to us, the natural herbs, the natural things to put in your physical that manifest into your emotional and your spiritual. It doesn't make sense that, let's say my wife right here, she walks into a doctor's appointment where her hair looks like that. It looks healthy. Her skin is healthy. But as soon as she goes through the treatment, the actual treatment, her hair is falling out. Her skin is getting, you can tell it gets darker. I notice when they start taking the medicines from these treatments or going through the chemo, it's like their body looks like it's sick. You get what I'm saying? Taking the blood output, it's all type of things that they go through. Where does these practices come from? And do people actually take the time to research, are they effective or not? How many people are walking around and saying, hey, I'm very healthy now because I went through chemo and I'm very healthy now. Do you know anybody? Do you know somebody that went through the whole process of chemo and let's say they've been healthy for a year or more?
No.
What examples do you know? Because I could be wrong.
I don't know, but I'm for sure my aunt, she was dealing with the same scenario. She went through chemo, and I'm not sure, her health status right now. But from what I see, she looks healthier.
A lot healthier.
Yeah.
Okay.
She lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, but most definitely, what you put into your body, you can take in things physically. Physically can be what you eat. Yeah, but as I showed y'all on my channel, if you check it out, Pilgrims in the Earth, and we all tied together, I took the time out to separate myself from a lot of situations, my normal routines, and we kind of locked in. I did one we call Protect Your Household, but really you need to protect your vessel, protect your temple, as the Bible calls your temple. What are you putting in your body? You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people, we work in a lot of hours nowadays. A lot of people are drinking heavily. A lot of people are putting drugs, marijuana into their temple. And it's altering your mood and your emotions. What do you think about like the drugs and the alcohol? When you was young, did you see people intaking these things a lot like you do now?
No, I hardly seen it in my all the days. But it's crazy how so common it is nowadays. I think I've seen it really start around 2018, and it just started progressing over the years. And I think around the pandemic time is when it really progressed. Everybody smoking weed, everybody drinking, everybody doing something every day, popping pills and all that. So they escaping from something.
Yeah, escaping from something. Yeah. It's an alternative, you hear alternative sweetener, alternative this, alternative that. It's not real. So when it's not real, it's not healing. It's actually doing you worse. Natural healing, I think natural, changing your environment, getting some sun, getting some natural resources, some natural foods, like I said, being around genuine people. That's one thing. When I separated myself from a lot of things that I was doing, the main thing was the people that I was around. I wasn't around genuine people. You need to be around people that have actual love for you. You need to be around people that's going to give you truth. You know what I'm saying? That wants your best interest or has your best interest. That's what you put into your body. That can be, what you eat, what you physically are intaking. You get what I'm saying? But there's spiritual things too. What you're watching, the music you listening to, are you consuming negativity, every day? Those kind of things tie into all things when we talk about the physical and the spiritual and the emotional. For example, we deal with these phones a lot, right? These phones are like, you know, they're like windows. You know what they call the little windows or whatever. These things, they open or allow these things to come into your vessel, by using them. And of course, it's good to it. You can learn things faster, depending on your algorithm, but sometimes we're being entertained most of the time. So let's say if you're watching negative, or you're viewing black women or black men one way all day, or women ain't this or men ain't that. At some point, you're taking that in, and that's what's gonna be projected out of your spirit. But I want to talk about emotional healing, right? A lot of us are so distracted, and I know this, right? Separating ourselves, because of course we left America, we came to another environment. And I know there's a lot of marriages go through this, right? Specifically here, I see so many people that leave America and they marriages go through a lot of troubles, potential divorces. I've seen people even go through divorces coming out of America because they're not moving as much. It's not, oh, you going to work, she going to work, y'all come home, feed the kids, take a shower, go to bed. It's more now you're faced with this person. Now you're faced with yourself. Now you're seeing what issues you really have on the inside. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and to land back on what you're saying, that is very true, because you are so distracted when you are in America. So you really don't even know who you are, and you really don't know who you're with, because you constantly working and you're distracted by the things. So when you come here, you are tested all types of ways. You are tested, and it will take for you to sit down and actually deal with yourself and deal with your marriage. So now you will have to actually do the real work and research about yourself and about your partner, and do the necessary work. Sometimes it don't work out for people because they're not doing the work that it has to take for you to make your marriage last, and do whatever else you need to do as far as in raising children as well.
Yeah, not just marriage in itself or relationships, but sometimes you just need to be alone. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we're a Bible based. Well, my channel is a Bible based channel, and my wife's is too. But I think when you look at the Bible, right, a lot of those people that the Most High were dealing with, like the prophets and people like that, they had to be separated from society to actually, and they were fasting and praying. That's a deep healing. You get what I'm saying? So, when you talk about when people are battling an addiction, they have to be separated from their environment, because a lot of our environments keep us distracted. We have familiar, we have friends, we have family that we know. You have to be separated from that to actually deal with who you are. Yeah. Also, another thing is, living in your truth. What does it mean to live in your truth? What did that mean to you?
Living in your truth. Being accountable for you. Just working on yourself, not even pointing fingers at everybody else, looking at you and who you are within.
Or do you gotta put on a costume every day? When you going around your friends, your family, or the people you associate with, you gotta put on a mask.
What do you think they do when they drink and smoke? A mask comes on.
I don't know. I think
or it comes off.
Yeah, I think most people, when they drink, that mask come off. Of course, I think there's levels to it. That's why, it tells you to drink, in moderation. Because I think alcohol does open you up to some degree to yourself. But then once you go beyond, it's something else operating in you. Yeah. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people living in your truth is a part of your health too, your emotional health, because now you not only to some degree, you lying to everybody else, but after so much time, you lying to yourself. You start believing a lie. You get what I'm saying? That you lying about. You ever heard you ever heard somebody lie so much they start believing their own lies? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. Also, living in your purpose. What do you think about living in your purpose? A lot of people are working these jobs. You know, you're doing the same cycle every day. Something that you hate doing. You get what I'm saying? Is that your true purpose? And they do studies of this, man. People that work outside, you know, like work farms and things like that, because it's something that they're working towards, you know, something that's kind of like self-sufficient. You know, the food that they're growing, they're consuming it, and they have a business of selling it. But people that work outside are a lot more healthier, you know, mental health, all that. Yeah, happier, you know, than people that work in offices. What do you got? You sound like you got something on that.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, yeah, a lot of people that do, more self-sufficient, they are happier, they're more connected with, their environment. A lot of people that, work these 9 to 5s and, they in these working fields, they are not happy, they're depressed. 9 times out of 10, they're working for a boss that don't like them, or they don't even like the boss, or they don't even like the job that they're doing. They just working to get by.
So imagine all that mixed up together, right? We talked about you intaking all these things through your phone, because that's what most of us doing all day. This right here, scrolling. You know, you didn't spend 2 hours doing this. You didn't spend 2 hours chopping it up with people that don't have your best interest. You know, just what they call it, chopping it up, BSing. You know, talking about celebrity news or whatever, or what you just seen scrolling. You know what's going on out there. You smoking. You know, you drinking. And also, what was the other one I said? You're not healing. You know what I'm saying? We're really just grown versions of ourselves when we were kids or we were children. So have you really, if you've never addressed those problems when you were young, that past trauma, that's manifested even bigger now. You get what I'm saying? So imagine all those things all together. Now you have what comes out the oven with all that mixture or recipe together. Disaster. That's why you see so many neighborhoods of crime. You know, that's why you see so many families broken nowadays. That's why you see so much, people just what they call crashing out, because there's no healing. And you see, them hospitals they cleaning up. You know, the prisons is cleaning up, the hospitals is cleaning up, and guess what? Hell is busting open because people are not getting that spiritual help or spiritual healing. I'm gonna say it like this, right? What do you think about spiritual healing? What comes to mind with me? What does that look like for you?
So spiritual healing means like you actually doing the necessary work to heal, and that can look like you forgiving other people that have hurt you or people that you even hurt. So a lot of times that weighs on you a lot too, so that can help with your spiritual journey. Also listening to music, inspirational music, things that will keep you in good spirits. And that's very helpful. I use that tool as well. Also, fasting. Actually, fasting. We are actually doing that. We've been doing it for this our 4th week? Going into our 1st week.
Not straight, but we do it once a week for 7 weeks straight.
Yeah. So I think that is very important because it helps you. With your body, it helps you mentally and spiritually. So that's definitely a part of spiritual healing too. And it actually helped me because this is our 2nd time doing this. So it helped me the first time. We're doing it again for a 2nd time, and it's it's actually working for me, and I actually like doing that because it's helpful.
It's good taking a break. Even the kids, it's good for your household in general, but specifically good for the kids. Another thing we don't talk about, which we was talking about the physical, but also ties into all these things tying together. But gluttony is, I have been battling with alcohol. I always talk about that alcohol and all the different things, but that was one of my main challenges. So when I had felt like that wasn't a temptation for me anymore, or certain things I've been struggling with since I was a child wasn't a temptation for me anymore. Then came other things, like sugar, food in general, gluttony, one of the biggest things. So gluttony, like I say, that's what you put in your body. That's your physical intake, which will manifest into your spiritual. So fasting, for our children, they don't even, usually when we used to wake up in the morning after a certain time, the youngest one, or not the youngest one, but Zamir, which is our second youngest, he's 2 years old. He would usually be whining for food, but now he doesn't even, he doesn't cause a issue because his mind is already programmed to not even think about his first meal of the day. So, fasting is definitely one. Praying is, praying together. We pray twice a day together. That's a big one. A lot of people not praying like they used to. Our grandmothers, our grandfather, they were praying. They were praying people. We always been a praying people. You know what I'm saying? That has got us through a lot of tough times and a lot of fighting, a lot of spiritual battles. But yeah, all these things is tied in together, man. Watching the company you keep, watching and what you put, like my wife mentioned, music. I did a video about music, how Satan has kind of infiltrated the music industry. A lot of that stuff that you let into your vessel is kind of controlling. You got demons holding the wheel, you know what I'm saying, controlling your emotions. So, man, you got to watch out for all these different things. But I would suggest people just take the time and just, separate yourself, man. Separate yourself. Of course, we all got to come out of the world eventually because we see where that's going. But most of the people that we associate ourselves with, are they on the same journey with us? Do they have the same goals and do they have the same purpose? A lot of people not trying to get better. A lot of people satisfied with what they doing. So me, myself, I always had this spirit of progressing, progress. I think since we met, we kind of always motivated each other to do better. Even when we was at our lows, they ain't always been perfect. We had our times, but for the most part, being married kind of motivates you to do better, and it gives you accountability, and with children. Go ahead.
First of all, let me say this, because how can I forget the number one thing is prayer with your spiritual healing, because it's going to take prayer. You got to always include the Most High in that, because He a big part of your whole journey in healing. So yes, that is very key. I'm glad you said that, because praying will get you through everything. Yeah. What
about reading your horoscope daily?
No, you better read the scriptures, because that's very key. That's a part of spiritual too. You spiritually eat, and you mentioned the gluttony. Instead of eating physically, you gotta eat daily with your word. So that's key.
Yeah, man. A lot of stuff. It's a lot of ideologies out here. Like I say, man, I remember that though. Honestly, I remember reading horoscopes, and it blew me back. So I was like, dang, I think that this kind of makes sense. I think I was probably like in high school. I'm like, dang, me being what is a Virgo? I'm like, dang, this makes sense. And then, yeah, you know what you is too. We all do. We all dibbled and dabbled. But imagine you being a grown person saying, I don't do Capricorns, or I don't do Virgos. Y'all is too conceited. I'm thinking like, man, like we let these things kind of control our, our view of people and, our view on life. It's like, I don't trust no Scorpio. Yeah. Of course it has some truth to it. But when you when you taking it in, like that's your whole spiritual, view on life. You never gonna get nowhere. You're gonna be trapped in a box. That
So God.
Yeah, that's your God basically. A lot of people do tarot card readings and all that stuff, man. You don't have to do tarot card readings, because however, whatever you put into your body and however you discipline yourself, that's going to be the vibration of your life or the direction that you're going in. If you hanging around people who, dudes that's hanging out in the trap house, packing pistols all day, getting over on people, what is your outcome going to be? 9 times out of 10, death, death, jail, and destruction. If you a chick and you meeting up with dudes and you laying down with them for money, you laying down with all these different dudes. What's energy do you have? You're gonna have, man. I done seen so many people. You ever look at somebody and you can tell something is just eating them alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I done seen people like, man, what's your lifestyle like? Or when people usually, they say when people before they die, you can kind of read, they can kind of feel it. You know what I'm saying? Or they like, dang, when I seen him last time I seen him, he wasn't right. You can tell something. He knew he was gonna die. So these are, that's why nowadays spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical healing is very important, man. Very important. Now I'm getting to the age, my knees be starting to hurt, man. I can't run like I used to. I be like, man, I gotta lose about 20 pounds to feel, but it all starts, with your temple. It all starts with your spiritual, all of it ties together. Because if you can't overcome something, like lately I've been finding myself not meeting the expectations, as far as, I might start like a detox where I say, I'm gonna go 7 days, but on that third day I might be like, dang, I can't do it. But all that ties into spiritual also, because am I really spiritually disciplining myself? And I believe like stuff that I be engaging in too much be kind of like limiting me from overcoming like spiritual hurdles or goals that I got set for myself. Like, just like when I try to do like big fast, like 3 or more days, I kind of like to fast incrementally to build myself up for it. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, man. This is just, this is just a little idea we had. You're gonna chop it up and see, what it sound like. But yeah, man, y'all support us.